Hi, my name is Alondra Valdez. My research area is going to focus on the auditory system. So I am interested in studying this is because I want to know how the effect of auditory system. I'm interested in studying the effect of the auditory system because I want to know how it affects those who have trouble hearing and or are deaf. So I want to see how they perceive the world with certain sounds or music and how they interpret it into their world. Um, So going on to the two literature articles that I will be going over for this video is the first one is by Johnston and colleagues, which goes over the one of the implants I want to go over, which is a bilateral cochlear implant, and the other implant is a cochlear implant. So the second article is by Hoppian and colleagues, and that one will be going over the cochlear implants. So for the first article I will be going over, it briefly just talks about how bilateral cochlear implant has shown to improve the quality of life, speech, language, and social localization. So these researchers conducted a study to examine the differences of children using cochlear implants or bilateral cochlear implants by using the two-tailed-Z test. In addition, the authors used qualitative studies as their methods to determine the quality of life, auditory speech, social development and skills, and many other methods. The authors found that children who received bilateral cochlear implants improved their performance on speech recognition and noise and sound localization tasks. They also found that children who received bilateral cochlear implants at such an early age received better benefits than children who received the bilateral cochlear implants later on. The second article, which kind of just talks about how So it's just gonna briefly go over how children with cochlear implants, how they're able to identify emotion through music. So the researchers here examined if children who have been deaf since birth or infancy have experience with cochlear implants are able to identify emotion in musical phrases. They conducted a study where participants had to decide whether 32 music pieces they heard were either happy or sad by pointing at smiling or frowning face graphics. There were a total of 18 participants who were cochlear implant users ranging from 17 to 13 years of age. The others found that children who were using cochlear implants were able to distinguish correctly from music and sad music. They also found that even if they were able to perceive emotion in music, they were not able to do so as accurately as typically hearing peers. All in all, this just showed that cochlear implants may not have the full capacity to help children pick up sounds. So now for my graphs, here is the first article I went over. There isn't much of a graph here to show, but it does have a table of articles that they used and how it supports how bilateral cochlear implants does improve sound localization, speech recognition, and noise. And it just pretty much kind of just goes over all of this. Now going to the second one, here is a graph on the x-axis. It shows a control group, which is the normal hearing peers, and the other group, which is the cochlear implant group. And the y-axis shows music percentage correct. So for the control group, it showed that they did a 97.3 percentage correct with a standard deviation of 2.7. And the cochlear implant did a 77.5% correct with a standard deviation of 12.7. So here it just kind of just shows that the normal hearing group was able to find emotion in the music better than cochlear implant. And here the difference is around 20%. And here it just also just kind of shows almost pretty much the same graphic. I mean, same graph, but it just shows that in happy music, they're able to perceive that better than sad music. Okay, so going back to this. Um, so this research is going to help support my idea that how each implant has its pros and cons. And so what I want to do is how can the type of cochlear implant a child receive affect the way they pick up sounds and be able to distinguish sounds from others? What type and then which type of cochlear implant would improve their overall ability as they grow older? And the hypothesis is can children who receive bilateral cochlear implants is more effective than children who receive cochlear implants by picking up sounds and improving their overall ability. And the way I want to test this idea is that there's going to be the people who are deaf or have trouble hearing are going to be randomly assigned to two groups. The experimental group, which shows here that they will receive the bilateral cochlear implant, and the control group is just the regular cochlear implant. So before this study actually happens, I want these children to have these implants for at least 6 months. And then once those 6 months have come, they go into a research lab and we will play sounds and music for them. And through questionnaires, they'll be able to answer how they picked up the sound or what they got from the sound and how they were able to perceive music. And that is all for my video. Thank you so much.